No one would know it at the time, but on August 12, 2019, Ian Kinsler would play in the final game of his long and prosperous career. And with the way the rest of his time in the majors had gone, it was fitting that he went out with a legendary send-off. With the Padres getting blown out by the Rays, Kinsler, who had been on the bench for the first 8 innings, was put on the mound for the only time in his career. And after pitching a scoreless inning, he came to the plate for the last time.
Kinsler in the air to deep left field. That ball's gone.
Up to this point in the 2019 season, his production had been pretty disappointing, and his age had seemingly caught up to him in the past couple years. This game came just prior to an announcement that he would be placed on the injured list with a herniated disc, an injury that ultimately played a part in his decision to retire later that year. With the season not quite going the way he had hoped, that legendary 9th inning served as an exclamation point to his star-studded career. A reminder to anyone who may have forgotten just how good he was and for how long. It was a suitable end for a player who had beaten the odds right from the start. Between the years 2000 and 2009, there were a total of 12,238 players selected in the June amateur draft. A lot of these players were selected multiple times, not signing at the time of their initial selection for a variety of reasons. Some guys bet on themselves in the hopes of a higher draft position with a larger signing bonus. Others feel the need to develop in college before spending years grinding in the minors. No matter the reason though, Ian Kinsler was one of those players. Kinsler was originally drafted by the Arizona Diamondbacks out of high school. He was picked in the 29th round, but ultimately decided to develop his skills at Central Arizona College that year. Come 2001, Kinsler was drafted again by the Diamondbacks, this time in the 26th round. Again though, he decided not to sign, and this time went to play for Arizona State. He had a rough offensive season there and wasn't drafted at all in 2002. Perhaps feeling some pressure after that disappointing season, he transferred to the University of Missouri where he slashed .335, .416, .536 with 16 steals in 49 games. With that big improvement, he was once again selected in the draft in 2003, this time by the Texas Rangers in the 17th round, and rather than push his luck for another year, Kinsler signed. As the 496th pick in the 2003 amateur draft, it would be a huge understatement to say that the odds were stacked against him. From 2000 to 2009, 70.9% of first-round picks played at least one game in the majors. That number dropped to 51.8% in the second round, and further to 43.1% in the third round. So how about the 17th round where Kinsler was drafted? In the 17th round, only 12.7% of players got a glimpse of the majors. And keep in mind that these numbers are for anyone who played a single game. The number of those players that had any level of success in the majors is even lower. If we narrow the search down to only players who put up more than 5 Baseball Reference WAR in their careers, this is what the percentages come down to. Suffice to say, the Rangers were probably not expecting their 17th round pick to accumulate over 50 WAR. But against all odds, Kinsler went on to be a 4-time All-Star, 2-time Gold Glover, and a World Series champion with nearly 2,000 hits, 257 home runs, and 243 stolen bases. And although his time in Texas came to a bitter end in 2013, there's no denying the impact Kinsler had with the Rangers organization in the 8 years he spent there. He was never the best player in the league, but he provided positive value in every aspect of his game. To get a better idea of who Kinsler was as a player, let's take a look at his 7-season stretch between 2008 and 2014. Between 2008 and 2014, Kinsler played in 977 games, the 5th most out of 74 qualified second basemen during that time. His durability over a significant portion of his career, combined with his well-rounded skill set, made him an extremely valuable player. Let's start by looking at his base running value during this span of seasons. Kinsler stole 153 bases over this time frame, and the only second baseman with more base running runs above average was Chase Utley. We can break this down further though and really see how Kinsler was adding value on the bases. Base running runs takes into account stolen bases, stolen base efficiency, how often a player is able to take an extra base given the opportunity, and how much value they add or subtract by grounding into double plays compared to their peers. Kinsler had pretty good stolen base totals and efficiency, but his real value came from how often he was taking the extra base. The stat that measures this, and one of the components of base running runs, is called ultimate base running. You don't need to know the ins and outs of this stat, just that Ian Kinsler ranking so highly in it means that he was incredibly smart on the bases, constantly capitalizing on opportunities to take the extra base. Out of 439 qualified players between 2008 and 2014, Kinsler was second in ultimate base running only to Elvis Andrus. Moving on from his base running now though, let's take a look at his defensive value. During that same span of seasons, Kinsler ranked 10th out of 74 qualified second basemen with 41.4 defensive runs above average. He didn't win any gold gloves during this time, but that was mostly because Brandon Phillips was dominating the second base category, winning the award in 4 out of those 7 years. Kinsler was playing elite defense at second base, even if the awards didn't come his way during that time though. Finally, let's take a quick look at Kinsler's value at the plate. In this 7-year stretch, he had a 792 OPS, 6th place among the 74 qualified second basemen. This span of seasons from 2008 to 2014 shows exactly why Kinsler was such a valuable player. To put it simply, he wasn't the best at any one thing, but he was good at just about everything. To emphasize this point, let's see how many players during that time were as well-rounded as him. How many players had more than 30 base running runs above average, 40 defensive runs above average, and an OPS over 750? Only 2, Ian Kinsler and Chase Utley. Out of 439 qualified players from 2008 to 2014, only one other guy was as good of an all-around player as Kinsler. And that guy just got 28.8% of the votes on his first Hall of Fame ballot appearance. Ian Kinsler's Major League Baseball career came to an abrupt end due to injury, but what he did in his 14 years on the field won't be forgotten anytime soon. As one of the greatest all-around players of his generation, he went from a long-shot 17th round pick to the Texas Rangers Hall of Fame to likely being on the MLB Hall of Fame ballot in 2025. He beat the odds right from the start. And to cap off his long and successful career, he gave fans a legendary final inning to remember him by. If you enjoyed the video, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Jack of All Baseball, and I'll see you next time.